Vinny, I think this is the first time we've done a one-on-one actually where we can see each other.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is a one-on-one where you and I can see each other. Obviously, we have seen each other face to face when it comes to, talking about the baseball hall with the group, or the football hall with the group, or the U.S. hall with the group. But this is the first time we are speaking one-on-one about this, and I'm pretty excited about it myself.
Yeah, so I wanted to have you on just for a separate discussion, not so much about the Basketball Hall of Fame, which we are going to talk about, because I know that you're very passionate about all Halls of Fame, but I wanted to sort of do a discussion of the first ever non-Hall of Fame postseason awards, just for the regular season, because I've got four. I didn't actually prep you on any of this, because I just wanted you to give your raw, visceral reaction.
So makes sense.
4 awards, and then a cup series, which I will explain after. I'll leave that sort of as the main events. You and I conversed a lot on Twitter. You're very, very happy about the Basketball Hall of Fame and the giant class that they have. I'm very critical about the Basketball Hall, more about the process than about the end results, if that makes any sense.
Yes.
Yeah, because I do like generally who they pick. I just wish we would know how they come there. And it's been very clear to me over the last few years that they've expedited some classes because I think they're piss broke.
No, they are. I mean, let's be real here. I mean, when it comes to selections, I've always liked basketball's Hall of Fame class more than any of the other ones. I like them more than footballs. I like them more than hockey's. And, of course, I like them more than baseballs. I understand that the Basketball Hall of Fame gets flacked from, the elitists that say, oh, no, it's too big. Oh, shut up. I don't care. You know why I like these big classes? Because, one, it shuts more people up. But, two, the Basketball Hall of Fame is something that I wish all these others halls understood. International success, international understanding, like the impact on the game itself. Pioneers, major people that had a major impact on African-American history, or just very big social and just, ethical and racial history. That stuff is very, very important. I wish football do that. They don't even have Charles Fowles, the first black player. And for hockey, it took them ages to get Willie O'Ree. And as for, contributors, obviously, I'm a contributor guy. Basketball actually inducts a whole bunch of contributors every year, and I love that. I absolutely adore that, because you see so many people for baseball, you never hear anything about contributors, even though they do get inducted. And for hockey, you hear us here and there, but they do add them. But for football, you have so many people ask for seniors, and they like to degrade contributors. And you have those people that claim that, oh, all the contributors do is just add the owners, even though only 3 owners have been added since 2015. And the most requested contributor of all time since then has been Pat Bowen, who is an owner. So I think they're just trying to do it because they just want their players in. That's the only reason why. And I think it's kind of crude. I think it shows a lot of disrespect, but at the same time, it doesn't shock me anymore. Nothing shocks
me. So I just want to get just a real gut reaction here with the 16 members. Evan and I will be going through that a little bit in greater detail in the Hall of Fame show. Is there one person who you're personally most happy with that they got in?
If there's one person that I'm personally I'm personally happy with all of them. But if I had to choose one that I was very for me, Jay Wright, because of a personal choice. The reason why I like this is because he got his first ever head coaching job at my university, Hofstra, and that is where he started his legendary career. And of course, winning 2 championships with Villanova. He's one of the best coaches in the nation, and I knew him as a Hall of Famer. I see him as a Hall of Famer, and I'm very happy that my university can say that they actually have a basketball Hall of Famer themselves. So for a personal reason, I'm going with him. But in terms of just overall, a very nice, surprising pick, I would probably have to go with a contributor here, of course, Howard Garfinkel. I like this because the guy who actually created a whole website, a whole way of analyzing and scouting high school basketball players. I mean, that is extremely impressive. That is something that's like getting Mel Kiper or some of these very, very big major scouts into football, which basketball honors this stuff. Basketball actually puts and says, wow, this stuff is very, very important. You deserve the ultimate honor. And for that, I applaud them and I love their choices for that. But you, Kirk? for a personal choice, which one is your favorite, and which one is your favorite, just for in terms of just very happy surprise?
It's both, actually. The answer is the same for both, and that's Chris Webber.
Oh yeah, that'd be my choice when it comes to players too.
Chris Webber to me, and I've kind of like pounding the same drum. I've said this so many times on shows that I've done, but for those who haven't heard, C-Web he meets that criteria. And I have this conversation with one of my buddies back in Canada all the time, who kind of feels that Weber's really not. But the Basketball Hall of Fame, as you've sort of mentioned earlier, it is a larger hall. So realistically, the threshold to get into the Naismith Hall is a little bit.
They say it's super. It's not that easy.
Well, it's not easy, but the bar is lower than it is in the Football Hall of Fame. It is. I mean, like we can't say that it's not.
Yeah.
Weber is definitely there. In my mind, Weber got penalized because of being not because of the timeout, nothing like that. It's because he was considered ineligible. Michigan had to take down their Final Four banners and whatnot. So I feel, though we don't know because we don't know who's on this committee, but there's no doubt in my mind that they made him wait until he was reinstated.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of like, yeah, I would say that is a good point. I mean, granted, I'm happy that the Basketball Hall also knows that those things happen. The NCAA can claim their alternative facts while they won, but we all know what actually happened. Unfortunately, they also know what happened.
Know that because we don't know. We don't know what they think.
I meant the website. Referring to the website.
No. Okay. Yeah. From that point of view, yes. Yeah. But I'm convinced that they were going to pass him over and over and over.
What do you think finally got him in this year? Was it because Ben Wallace has kind of spoken the same way? Why do you think he got in this year finally?
No, because I don't know why necessarily this year or not last year. Well, I know why not last year. They wanted to make sure that those three. That's why their finalist group for the North American candidate class was only 5.
Mm-hmm.
Only 5 out of those 5 got in. So I knew. So like last year, they knew exactly who they wanted to have for that particular class. This year, there was just no more reasons for excuses anymore. They ran out because if the biggest obstacle was him being not even allowed on campus in Michigan, and that's done. That suspension's lifted. They essentially wanted to white. They basically were going with the mentality. At least this is what I believe. I don't know for sure that because once you take down the banners, well, hey, this never happened. We all know what happened.
Of course we did. You all know. We can just look on Wikipedia and it's all right there.
Sure. And if you want to talk about influence, and I know that's not quite necessarily something we look at with players, but let's be upfront. The most dynamic group in college basketball over the last 30 years, it was this team that didn't win a title.
That's impressive.
There's not going to be a 30 for 30 for any other group. There's not going to be a 30-30 for Sister Jean.
Yeah, it says a lot about Chris Webber in terms of his career. But what about Tim Hardaway? Like Tim Hardaway said that the reason.
No, I know. We know why he's being punished.
Do you think he'll eventually make it? I think he will too. Like
eventually, but it's which one of those players got in though? Could we really say that he was snubbed over for Hardaway? I mean, Ben Wallace. I think you and I both love Ben Wallace, 4-time Defensive Player of the Year. Paul Pierce.
Paul Pierce was an obvious one. Chris Bosh was obvious.
Right. They were all obvious. Tim Hardaway is no matter what he does, no matter what he says, that's going to be the first headline. Now, the one thing, this would have been a good class to put him in because it's so big. There's so much talk with Kobe, and I think sometimes they worry about being too woke. Who isn't right now these days?
Yeah, of course.
So that's almost like the first thing where they're worried about some kind of backlash, I think, with Hardaway. And I do feel that he is one of those bubble guys, but I think he's slightly on the right side of the fence in my mind. I will champion Tim Hardaway for that. Yes, and I'm not going to go into what he said for those who are not aware, but he said some awful homophobic things that were that is unforgivable. But he said something that probably a lot of the other players think or thought.
Yeah, and being honest, I mean, how many players have you seen say anti-Semitic stuff online?
That's true. That's very true. Tim, however, since that time has worked as a coach. He has actually done some work in that community and sort of learned from it. And what are we if we can't learn from
I
school?
mean, isn't America supposed to be the land of second chances or whatever?
Sure, it's also the land of tearing people down.
Oh, that too. But here's another thing. With Ben Wallison, was this something for Michael Cooper? Like, he was a finalist for the first time this year, and he made it on the list.
Yeah, but Wallace, I think the story about Big Ben is sort of better. Undrafted.
And of course,
Yeah.
but also four-time defensive player of the year. With Cooper, it's like, I actually really like I understand, like, I actually really like the case of Cooper, more so because just an entire body of work, being a part of that Lakers team. He was always, like, the fourth or fifth biggest name. I mean, the reason why he was never an all-star was because he was on a very loaded team, but he was always the dominating force for that team, always on defense. I mean, your defensive player of the year, 8-time defensive team member, and also when you when you become a coach, you win 2 championships for the WNBA. That's Hall of Fame worthy.
Yeah. So no, I mean, I have no problem with any of these guys. It reminds me I've got to revamp that whole list again, along with the rock list. So I'm going to be pretty busy.
Also, what do you think about the class for, like, the African American pioneers? What do you think about that list? I mean, that's personally my favorite out of all these. I mean, I actually know, like, I did speak to one person that follows all. The one person said, I'm not going to say his name, but he said that the reason is what?
They had a problem with Jenkins, or just the person?
No, he didn't, like, for football, for instance, like, the reasons why football doesn't have it. I spoke to one guy. One person said that he didn't want him in because it would set a quote unquote political agenda by the Hall, which is kind of laughable. But at the same time, thank God he's not a voter, but I won't be shocked if many other voters feel the same way, knowing how a lot of them are.
No, and I really like sort of the way they think. Again, like you and I have sort of the same issue. We really like sort of how they sort of come across, how they come across that when they do come up with their preliminary list. My God, it's a giant list. Who's voting on it? How many people? Don't know. One other final thing though, this is actually the international selection of Tony Kukoc might be one of the few times where people actually know who that is.
Well, I know who all these guys are. I looked these guys up.
When you look at some of the people from the past international, a lot of the international people did not ever play in the NBA. And I'll be honest, I'm one of those guys, Evan, sorry, that's my regular partner on this. I'm one of those guys, Vinny, my apologies, that I'm so inundated with the stuff that I do watch. Like, there's the new Super League in Africa. I would love to watch it. I'm probably not going to. I don't know when I'm going to find the time to do it. So watching a lot of the EuroLeague, and I know there's some great basketball out there, but like most North Americans, we just don't have time to see it. So they're not worthy, and I do want to point that out.
Yeah, many people think, like, the EuroLeague is quote unquote inferior. Like, yeah, it may, but at the same time,
well, it is. It is an inferior league.
Yeah, it is an inferior, but at the same time,
well, great, like very good, high level of basketball.
It's very high level, but at the same time, they're just not adding every, like, EuroLeague guy. They're adding, like, the best of the best of the best, and usually these guys never came over to the States.
And also many of these people, and that's the one thing that I like about the basketball hall as well as the hockey hall. Your international achievements are very relevant. So it's not just what you're doing for your club team, be it in Italy, Spain, Greece, wherever it may be. It's representing your country. And if you look at what Kukoc did, it's incredible. I mean, you can even just like on the female side, and I don't watch a lot of women's basketball, I have to admit.
Lauren Jackson.
Lauren Jackson, though, is...
Oh, legend. Absolute legend.
Look, she is.
Like, what she did for women's basketball in Australia. She's easily the greatest women's basketball player.
But if you look at, let's go beyond what she did in the WNBA, which I believe, off the top of my head, I think she was a former MVP, 8-time All-Star. I could be off on
three-time MVP.
3-time MVP. It's even better than I thought.
2-time champion, 8-time All-NBA.
But look but look at what she did for her country. Now, there's not a lot of good Australian women players. There's one great one. Lauren Jackson was it 3 silver medals, pretty much carrying the Aussies on her back.
Mm-hmm.
She did. She
Yeah.
did.
Yeah. Also, what's funny about it is that for Lauren Jackson in both the all-decade team for the WNBA as well as the top 15 team, she was to the back for the top 10, and also she's the only non-US player to be in all 3, the top 10, top 15, top 20. That tells you the impact and importance of Lauren Jackson, not only to the WNBA, not only just the women's basketball, but just to Australia itself as a country.
I can argue that had she not even set foot in the WNBA, you can make a case for her down the road for the Basketball Hall of Fame just on what she did for Australia.
I agree as well. But fortunately, she has all the accomplishments. With me, it was like, out of all these players that I'm including in NBA, the one player I was pounding the drum for the most was Lauren Jackson, simply because of what?
Over Paul Pierce?
Paul Pierce was going to make it easily.
Okay, so you're saying, okay. All right, so let's just close this off with one thing here. Where would you for Lauren Jackson, where do you have her when they do the speeches? So Paul Pierce is going to headline. Bosch is going to be the number 2 hole. I would think. I don't know. I don't know how they're planning to do it.
The way I see that they're going to have it is that when it comes to players in particular, I think they're going to go over like the ones that are much older, like for instance, like Pearl Moore and Fats Jenkins, the ones that are deceased, or even Bob Dandridge. Those will be a bit older. I think Jackson will come after Griffith, and I feel she'll probably go after Ackerman as well in terms of speeches. Also, speaking of speeches, I should mention this. So many people complain with for football how the speeches are too long. There's a cap for basketball. There can't be no more than 15 minutes, and it's so easy to do. Why can't all these other ways understand hey, add a cap. If you hate how long these speeches are, just add a cap. Don't punish.
It's easy for them. They're used to a shot clock.
That's true. That's also true. I will admit that. But I think just if people are actually complaining for these other ones, they should also have a timer. And it works well for basketball because it gets all these speeches in very quickly.
Yeah, but that's what they do. They have that in football, but then they run out of bounds, stops the clock. Squeeze that.
Baseball does not have a clock unless you have the pitcher for now, but that's only 20 seconds. And how can you fit?
Game can go run for days, which I've learned.
Hockey, especially in the playoffs, that could last as long as it possibly can until someone shoots a goal.
Well, there won't be any hockey center next year. But anyway, moving on. The main reason I brought you here, you're going to be the first person to hear about the first ever official Not in Hall of Fame.com end of regular season basketball awards.
Nice.
There are 5. Count them 5.
That's 5. That's 5. 5 fingers.
That's 5. I don't know whether these are going to match the NBA, whoever the NBA is going to come up with. Don't know, don't care. These are mine.
Just different. All these awards, just different people's opinions in any way, if you really think about it.
Well, that's very true. But what I'm saying right now to all you agents out there, hey, work that into the contracts. An extra 10G if you win the Not in Hall of Fame award. Pretty prestigious shit. Could be. Why not?
Yeah, I hope they're on board with it, or else that's their fault.
So the official 6th man of the year. I'm gonna do a drum roll. Too good. Oh well. From the Utah Jazz, Jordan Clarkson.
Yes, Jordan Clarkson is what I would choose also for the 6th man of the year, considering that the Jazz are the number 1 seed. And even with Donovan Mitchell out for several games, even for several weeks, he has been their main focus on offense, which is pretty remarkable for a 6th man. And his effort, what he's been able to do for the team, is also a big reason why I think the Jazz are going to represent the Western Conference.
I'm trying to think if before we went on air, I told you I don't really have a dog in this fight because I'm a Raptors fan and they're not here. So there's no player I hate. There's no player I love. Generally, I go by fan bases, like who needs it the most, who wants it the most. I
Yeah,
don't
me too.
imagine this passionate fan base in Salt Lake City.
Usually they're up to Mormon school or eating Jello.
I think I almost want to see Utah win the whole thing just so I can see a parade
That'd be pretty cool.
of just all these people in Utah. Like that's I don't know what exactly that would look like. I just imagine it being sort of
White.
like that's fine, but just lame.
Well, they gotta follow the teachings of Joseph Smith. Obviously, they need to keep it cool, calm, cool, and collected, as long as have a party with their 50 wives.
I will say that Utah is one of the most beautiful states I've ever been to. Having said that, I think I look pretty white, but they sure knew I wasn't from there. I'm not the friendliest state I've ever been to. Sorry if I'm offending any Utahns. Utahns?
Utahns,
Utahns. Utahns.
yeah.
All right. Well, it's Jordan Clarkson. Congratulations. The award's here with Barbados. Come get it. So, just want to give out also shout outs to other people who were considered. Montrezl Harrell of the Lakers had a very good year coming off the bench. Tim Hardaway was considered.
Tim Hardaway Jr., don't forget. You got to mention the junior.
Yes, I did forget the junior. I'm pretty bad for that. Tim Hardaway Jr. also got a bit of look. Somebody who isn't getting, maybe this is my bias coming in, Chris Boucher of the Raptors actually had a very nice year.
I think that is a bit of bias, and I also don't think it really helps considering that they finished outside the playoff picture. So it's unlikely that anyone that does not make the playoffs gets those awards. But hey, you're putting some hometown pride. I like it.
It's the only chance I'm going to get to give him a bit of a shout out for a very unexpected good year out of nowhere. Literally out of nowhere. He's 28 years old. Started one game last year. His minutes went up to like 24 minutes from 13.
Not bad.
I really remember him last year at all.
Neither do I.
So I thought he had a pretty nice year. Also, props to someone who I thought was done, like out of the sport a year and change ago, in Carmelo Anthony, who also had a year coming off the bench.
Carmelo Anthony has done. I was worried. I didn't think he was going to accept this role, but he has adapted to this role in Portland very, very well. And honestly, I can see him staying as long as he wants there. As long as he wants. He wants to remain as a trailblazer until he retires. That is, unless he decides to trade him somewhere else. But I feel like it's likely he will stay.
I'm super happy for him. He's done very, very well, because it just was looking so bad where he was just this empty player, still racking up some points, but at the expense of everything else. Working at the second unit accepting working on the second unit has revitalized him. Carmelo's a first ballot Hall of Famer regardless. I know some people may disagree with that.
He'll make a first ballot. He deserves it.
Well, I think he was before.
It's like the Dwight Howard discussion. Like people think, oh, he wasn't ever a Hall of Famer.
He totally was.
Yeah, of course.
I have the same argument with my buddies back home. So, like, yeah, I can get why you don't like Dwight Howard. There's a lot to dislike about him personally.
Yeah.
And some things professionally. I mean, he got pretty much kicked off of 3 teams, and they all got better because of it. Dwight Howard is also he had a respectable year coming off the bench this year.
Yeah, he has, and with the Sixers, I can honestly see him retiring if the Sixers win a championship.
That wouldn't be the worst thing, but I mean, he could still play, and it's not.
Yeah, that too.
I mean, sometimes you got to remember, what are some of these people gonna do? I mean, I'm gonna switch sports here briefly. I was ripping on Albert Pujols in the baseball group a little bit, and I'm surprised anyone picked him up. I'm shocked the Dodgers did. I don't know why anyone would. He can't run. He can't play defense. He can't hit for average. He can't get on. He can't walk. He hits home runs when they don't count. If Pujols and if you care about advanced stats, Vinny, I know you do.
Yes. Was his WAR like 0 or something like that?
The last 6 years, it's 0. So the Angels have spent $200 million for no wins. I don't think he moves the needle in terms of attendance. I don't think he sells that many jerseys anymore.
I think when it comes to Pujols, I think the Dodgers just gave him a favor, and they just said, "Hey, you know, this is probably your last year. We have a good chance to win a title. Here, want to come aboard?"
I don't think they think like that. I mean, why would any club think like that? Especially when you're that good. Unless they really see him sort of Pujols has to buy in that he's going to be an occasional player and should be used as a pinch hitter. That's who he is now. And he's not 41,
he is.
44, Albert. Nobody believes you're 41. Sorry, I just wanted to get that out.
Like when it comes, I have a friend that's a Cardinals fan. He actually did think that he was going to go to St. Louis, if anything, but he was kind of surprised to see him with the Dodgers.
Paul Goldschmidt. Why would they? You have Goldschmidt.
It's the same situation. Why I think the Dodgers could have signed him just to give him a chance at a championship. But if we're being honest here, in terms of like actual contributions of the teams, outside of people talking about Albert Pujols with the Dodgers, I mean, does it really do much?
He's a part-time. No, it doesn't. But so I don't think they're doing this for charity. I do think they think they can squeeze something out of him. And for his legacy, I hope they do. This is our generation. We're different generations, you and I.
My generation.
Okay, well, this is your generation.
Kind of my generation, but also kind of is, kind of isn't.
Well, I was going to use a reference that wasn't mine either. I was going to use like this is this generation's Willie Mays as a Met.
Well, yeah, the 2000s. I'd say like this generation, this decade, it's been like Trout.
No. I'm talking about like who Pujols is now. That's why I said Willie Mays is a New York Met when he was.
Basically. Oh yeah, like that.
Yeah. So that's sort of like where we're going with that. Like right there with like this, watching Pujols be this bad, because if it wasn't for Chris Davis, Albert Pujols is the worst player in baseball over the last 5 years.
Oh yeah, Chris Davis has just been. Is atrocious the right word to use? Because I don't even think that's the right word to describe how bad Chris Davis has been.
There is no word built that's bad enough to describe how terrible Chris Davis has been in the last few years. I'll put it. He's so bad that Bobby Bonilla's contract was good.
Yeah, like what do you think even happened with Chris Davis? Why did he start sucking so much? Why has he just been getting injured so much? Like, what is it with Chris Davis?
Just got a bit older, and then he became, all he can do is just do a bit of power. He was never a great contact hitter. He was all about the power, and then the lumbering guys lose their defensive skill. We can look at old clips of Prince Fielder always comes to mind. And sometimes
Prince Fielder, I feel so bad for him.
What?
I feel bad for Prince Fielder so bad.
Yeah, but when he was in his 20s, like, man, how the hell can he move that well? It's going to catch up to him, and then it does, and then boom, they hit a wall. And that's just athletics. That's just it's an interesting thing. I mean, I talk about it, but I can't play worth shit.
And then Dan Shaughnessy opens that big ass grin and says, "Finally, another guy can punish."
Well, it's an interesting thing that we have, but anyway, so I guess I went on a tangent.
Yeah, I was like that too, growing up watching David Wright, always seeing the injuries and say, "Oh Jesus, it's like another guy that, you know, they're gonna say, oh, very good, and it's gonna demean him," and it's ridiculous.
So moving on from people who are at the end of their career to people who are at the beginning of the career.
Mm-hmm.
The rookie of the year, and it's a 2-horse race. I thought early in the year somebody had it locked up. And then injuries prevented this player from having a full year. And for a lot of this isn't completely based on who I think is necessarily the best player. Because it's who actually did the most during that year.
Mm-hmm.
So the person who I thought was going to run away with it, and very well might win the NBA Rookie of the Year award, and if he does, I'll applaud. That is LaMelo Ball.
Yeah, he's going to win it. I think LaMelo Ball is
But
going to win it. Oh, he didn't win yours?
No.
Anthony Edwards, I'm assuming?
Edwards.
Because I could see that too.
Yeah, because LaMelo Ball is going to be the better player. But who gave the most this year? Anthony Edwards. Second half brought him, took him over. Took him over, in my opinion. I don't know what type of player Edwards is going to be, I don't know if he's like right now what I always like to call a big empty, which is where you're just going to score 25 points, but it doesn't make it look a difference. And
Feels like that. It
yeah,
doesn't help with the Timberwolves. Timberwolves are so bad. Like, they add 2 teams to move into the East, they're finally going to actually be worth something. But even then, it's still the Timberwolves.
so, but
It's
yes,
always the issue.
I've gone with Edwards as the rookie of the year. There really wasn't anyone else.
It's a smart choice. I
There,
like it.
there was some talk from in other circles that I've read online. If anyone might come in third, it might be Tyrese Halliburton in Sacramento. But I thought it was balls right from the start, and it was until Edwards
got hurt,
and then Ball wasn't playing. So I look at that, and this is the type of logic that's also going to be used towards the MVP. So I don't do a Coach of the Year award until the end of everything. I think the Coach of the Year award for a regular season in the NBA and really any sport is stupid. Your best coaching happens in the postseason. So I will not and will never award one ever. Because how many times, Vinny, have we seen a Coach of the Year and then you see, because it's always announced at the end of the postseason. It's like, yeah. Or,
it always feels very very weird. Like, oh, John Harbaugh wins Coach of the Year for the NFL, and then his team gets destroyed by the Titans in the divisional round. Or, oh, look, you get to have I don't know who, like some other guy, like I think one time Jeff Fisher won Coach of the Year, and then they lost in the divisional round to the Ravens.
Sam Mitchell, I think it was Sam Mitchell of the Raptors, won Coach of the Year, and then he was fired.
Yeah, and also Dwayne Casey, another example, like another guy that was best record. Dwayne Casey, don't forget, he won Coach of the Year like after he was fired. It just looked very, very awkward.
And so, like for me, I will never ever award a Coach of the Year for a regular season, never. So I've created a brand new award, the Sophomore of the Year.
Sophomore of the Year.
Sophomore.
A lot of guys have sophomore slumps, so
right.
Gotta be someone that doesn't.
And that's where I'm going with this, as sort of a replacement for most improved player.
I mean, most improved is obviously going to be Julius Randle, I assume.
I would think so. And
there's no way it wouldn't be.
If I were to ever do most surprising player, because if you look at Randall's stat lines, they're actually not that much more than what he did before, but the whole end results.
Yeah.
Randall's never been the A guy, and it's really interesting to see. But yeah, Randall would have been one that, but no, for this one, it's a runaway. No one's even worth discussing. It's Zion Williamson, New Orleans.
Yeah, easily, no question. I mean, Zion, if he was healthy the whole entire season, he would have won Rookie of the Year last year, but he didn't, and John Moran won. Now, one could say, oh well, Zion's team didn't make the playoffs, but Ja's did. Well, yeah, but at the same time,
Ja's not the best player on his team.
Yeah,
Valanciunas.
Jonas Valanciunas has been the best player this entire year, whereas Zion, the guy, is the best player on the Pelicans. Yes, you have Barron and Ingram. Yeah, you have Lonzo Ball, but everyone knows that the Pelicans are the team of Zion Williamson. Everyone knows that Zion is the reason why people watch the Pelicans. Everyone knows that Zion is the reason why people were all talking about him. Yep. And, he deserves Sophomore of the Year. No other person, I think, deserves it other than him. I mean, it's an easy runaway pick here.
Yeah, so, there's really nobody else even – I don't say – in other years, it would be people worth considering. But, yeah, Zion was that good. And I think it's just a unique thing that no one's come up with, which then leads to the MVP. The MVP was very hard. I know LeBron has championing Steph Curry, and Curry was very much considered. Curry, I think, had a great year, another great scoring year. Curry is – I don't know that he's my favorite player, but he's one of my favorite players to watch live.
He's definitely one of my favorites.
To actually be in an arena and watch that. There's nothing more electric than a fast point guard who can shoot.
Especially someone that revolutionized the game like Steph Curry.
Right. So Steph Curry received a lot of strong consideration, and as did LeBron to a point. LeBron
until he got hurt.
Yeah, but actually, when you look at after
that too,
it's everything though. LeBron gets hurt, and the Lakers go to shit.
Yeah,
and we've seen
they've had injuries as well.
We've seen this with other teams. or with him and other teams. When he was sat out a few games with Cleveland or Miami. Everything begins and ends with LeBron James. I'm not going to discuss his politics today. I did that a couple of weeks ago where I did an impression of LeBron trying to be smart where he opens up a book. Turn the page. Turn the page, buddy. You want people to think that you're a genius. Take pictures where maybe you're looking in the middle of it.
You're next.
Yeah. Well, I just want him to like. I just want him to like. If you're gonna like show you reading, because we know you're not reading. You're not reading, LeBron. We know that. That's okay. Most people don't actually read books, but I've never seen anyone so desperate to make it for everyone to think that he's genius. He's not.
Well, he knows how to market himself very well.
LeBron isn't stupid, but he's not Aristotle, and he's never gonna be. I don't know why it's that important to him. I really don't. Like, you're a great guy, I think. I mean, you say some things I disagree with, but he doesn't. You're never involved in any scandals. You do all sorts of charitable things. I think you're one hell of a player, but everyone doesn't need to think that you are the second coming of the greatest mind in the world. You're not. You're LeBron James, and that's pretty goddamn awesome. Sorry, that was a little PSA I just felt like doing.
Yeah, I never liked GOAT arguments personally. I always thought that they were just kind of not worthwhile. Like I said, the only thing that matters to me when it comes to anyone, player, coach, contributor, official, whatever, Hall of Fame, that is it. Then your discussion's over. That's all that matters.
Yeah, so LeBron is somebody that I thought could, in many ways, if you look at who's most valuable to the team, if that's the definition that we're going to use, LeBron could be the guy. You could say the same about Joel Embiid, who was incredible, but missed a lot of games too.
I don't know about them because they were still winning some games without him.
Yeah. Russell Westbrook made history.
Legend. Like, I know that there's a lot of people that hate Russell Westbrook's game. I understand, but at the same time, you got to respect it. No one else can do what he can do.
Absolutely.
Like, Russell Westbrook is literally one of the greatest players of the last 10, 20 years, 25 years. Like, to be able to do what he does. And before anyone says, oh, the triple doubles are so easy, look how long that record lasted for Oscar Robertson. Look how hard Russell Westbrook put in day out. Oscar Robertson, everyone knew him as a triple-double guy, but he only averaged a triple-double in the season once. Russ did it 4 times, and no one else has ever done that besides just him. Like that's a special player. To do that over and over and over again, I know that people say it's easy. It's not even close to easy. It is so hard, and you never know unless you actually do it yourself.
No, absolutely. Westbrook might be one of my favorite players to watch. Another one who's sneaky good, although I shouldn't say sneaky good because everyone knows what good he is, but he doesn't get a lot of press. Luka Doncic.
He's great.
Yeah.
He's fantastic.
Someone that I certainly thought about. But the winner is someone who was never missed a game all year. Is one of the top scorers, top rebounders. Everything. The sun rises and sets around this guy. I think you already know who it's going to be. Nikola Jokic, the Joker. Yep. He is my MVP. I don't know whether he's going to be named the league MVP, but Jokic is a very, very special player who's still getting better. I don't know how far Denver is going to go. I'm actually very excited about the NBA playoffs this year because I think many times when it starts, you can think, well, there's maybe 3-4 teams who could possibly win. We could say the Lakers have a shot, even though
the Nuggets have a shot, the Suns have a shot, the Clippers have a shot, the Jazz have a shot, and over in the East, the Sixers, the Nets, the Bucks, and hey, for all we know, the Heat can pull off another run. I mean, this is good. I'm someone who always preferred the NHL playoffs because of how much high octane they are, but I would say because of the addition of the playing round, plus because the NHL decided to have their realignment for the year and just have their play against the divisions over and over and over again without any additional playoff rounds, which kind of, I gotta say, NBA's playoffs look more exciting this year. That's
not even. They might have to call 2 dual champions in the NHL. We don't even know if we're going to let American teams. The
NHL. Oh, what they should have done is that they should have had a 1-game playoff between the 4 and the 5 seed in each division, and whoever wins that goes against the top-rated seed in that division.
Nah, I don't know, man. The NHL playoffs are still my favorite. Basically, what I'm going to be doing this year, I'm going to be watching the Stanley Cup playoffs live, and try not to watch basketball. And then it's kind of hard because the scores are already out, but I don't know. It might be
Yeah.
But yeah, so that is the winner of that. And Jokic, I'm going to say, is also won the 5th award. Now I have to describe that award because this was a big labor of love for me all year. Everything else I pretty much described has been done, except for I haven't seen anyone talk about a sophomore of the year. I don't know.
First one ever.
I'm sure I'm not the first, but
first one to say it publicly, at least on this show.
No, yeah, on my show. Yeah, I guess. I say a lot of things that are first on this show. So what I did is for every single game, I sort of modeled this after the Molson 3 stars. You know what that is, Vinny?
Yes, I do know the Molson 3 stars. Well, it's not called Molson here in the States. It's called the NHL 3 stars of the game, or T-Mobile 3 stars of the game.
Okay. Yeah.
The NHL, what they do. I mean, I love how the NHL has like the top 3 guys in this game, the top 3 guys in that game, or the top 3 guys of the week, top 3 guys of the month. I love that. I think that's pretty awesome.
Like, I don't even know if they call it the Molson shit anymore.
They don't call it Molson here in the States because that's a Canadian thing.
Well, also too, by the time usually when they announce that, I'm usually completely drunk, although I'm on a sober.
So it fits. So the name fits.
Yes, it does. So I decided to do the same thing, only with every game 5-1, 5, 4, 3, 2. And I did this for every single game, awarding points based on what they did in the game, stat line, not just stat lines, because you can't always go by that because sometimes they're empty. Because you can do 20 points and be completely worthless to your team. It does happen, as weird as that sounds, but in basketball, that is possible. So Jokic was the winner with that. Let me bring up exactly how many he got, and then I'll sort of like talk through some of the more, again, Joker, if you're watching, Barbados, it's a beautiful country. You got to come here to get the trophy. You know, I don't ship. But work that into your next contract. I'm telling you, it'll be worth it. So Jokic got 279 points over Doncic, 260, Giannis, 254. At one point, Giannis was fought between Giannis and LeBron. LeBron went out. And Jokic was always there, but he never led. And then Giannis missed a few games. You don't get an American until number 4, Julius Randle, who had more than Steph Curry. Because Curry got off to a slow start.
Yeah.
So Damian Lillard at number 6, Westbrook at 7, Tatum at 8, Vucevic at 9, Sabonis 10. And Embiid had the highest, what I call, cup points per game.
Wow.
So he finished at 11. But if he would have made 72 games, Embiid would have won.
But he didn't. So Jokic, I think by far he's also the MVP. There's many arguments you could say Steph Curry. You can make an argument for LeBron James. I mean, of course, in the New York area, you're seeing some people say they want Julius Randle as MVP. He's not going to be MVP. He's going to be like second team All NBA, but he's not going to be, or maybe third, but he's not going to be All MVP.
No.
Jokic to me is the MVP because this guy gets better every single year. He is the Denver Nuggets. Even without Jamal Murray, what they do with the help of Aaron Gordon, he's able to catapult this team all the way up to the 3rd seed in the standings, just exactly where they were last year. And for all we know, even without Jamal Murray, people can still see the team like the Nuggets making it to the Western Conference Finals again. That's how much they value this guy.
And Porter has been doing really, really well for them. It's going to be really fun to watch everything progress. I know ratings have been down a lot for the NBA.
Who cares? Honestly, I don't even know if they care too. Like they're selling so much, it's being talked about.
I'm sure they do because eventually
they do. That's why they created the play-in round. They did it for increased revenue. Let's be real here. I mean, you think they're going to really have it for just 1 year? You're kidding yourself. This is going to be for good.
This is locked in.
And I'm happy. I love the play-in. So may I hate it? Tough. I like it.
So a few other interesting notes here. It took until the top. You had to go past the top 20 to get any one of the big three for the Nets, which just shows how injury plagued they've been.
Mm-hmm.
There was no. Every team was represented in the top 50 except for one. Care to take a guess?
We'll say everyone is represented in the top 50.
Yeah, no, everyone but one team has a player in the top 50.
Rockets.
No, they got someone. Christian Wood.
Oh yeah, right, Christian Wood. Not the Thunder. The Shai Gilgeous-Alexander.
Yeah, it's the Thunder.
Not the Magic. Considering you can consider Vucevic.
Vinny, it's the Thunder.
Oh yeah. It is the Thunder. Oh.
Yeah, well,
wow.
Shea only played 35 games.
Yeah, because afterwards he got hurt after the first half.
Right. So like he went from like the top 20 to plummeting down, and they really didn't have anybody else.
To be fair, the Rockets mastered the art of tanking. Them too, and like the Thunder shows you how much a difference a Chris Paul can make, and also without a Steven Adams.
Phoenix, I think that they're going to be a lot of fun. Chris Paul has never been in a conference final, I don't think.
No, he has been. Just the Rockets in 2018, I think it was. But he was also hurt for a lot of the game too.
I didn't even think that he was on. Okay.
He did make a conference finals, though he was banged up for a lot of times in the playoffs. If he was healthy for Game 7, the Rockets would have gone on again in the NBA Finals. There's no doubt in my mind that would have been the case.
Yeah, I mean, for Phoenix and I guess their Eastern doppelgangers, Atlanta, just another fun, young, exciting team. I don't see either one of them getting through as much as I'd like them to. I think that'd be a lot of fun, a Phoenix-Atlanta series. Realistically, we've seen this before. Young teams that don't have a lot of playoff experience struggle
and to lose. And a team like the Suns, even though they're the 2 seed, a lot of people, I think almost everyone except for like just a couple individuals, are picking the Lakers that they beat the Warriors to beat them. Whether that's 6 or 7 games, they see them beating them. Even with LeBron James banged up and Anthony Davis and Dennis Schroeder, they still see them beating them.
I do.
And
too.
with the whole, yeah,
I would too. But I think people are sleeping on the Bucks.
I think people are too. I think a lot of people, I mean, they don't seem to understand, like, yes, the Bucks have lost in the playoffs a lot. Listen, the Heat are a team that they made the finals last year, but a lot of times they haven't been together a lot this year. And if they do beat the Heat, which I do think they will, yes, they're going to be against the Nets team that's going to have Harden and Durant and Griffin and Irving. But at the same time, most of these guys did not play together for almost the entire season. And Harden especially, he actually has been hurt. And this is a guy that never misses any games. I think they could beat a team like the Celtics because they're winning. They're winning right now. I think they could definitely beat the Celtics in like 5 games, maybe even 4. But honestly, to tell you the truth, I think the Bucks can beat the Nets. Even though I don't have them beating the Nets, they can beat the Nets.
The Nets are a really intriguing team. I mean, we know that these are 3 first-ballot Hall of Famers, but let's look at these 3 guys. Kyrie is a very interesting guy, and I think that's sort of a way.
That's kind of how most people see him.
We don't know what he's thinking half the time.
Mm-hmm.
Kevin Durant is a mo. He's miserable. He's clearly insecure because nobody sets up a burner account on Twitter. He's
very insecure.
And then you got James Harden, who has, all right, I'll defame him. I think he's got a low 2-digit IQ. I really think so. James Harden is not a very intelligent individual. High basketball IQ. But you have 3 guys who I don't know that they've got it together emotionally and intellectually to put it all together. And if I'm wrong, hey, I'll eat crow. I don't mind eating crow. Like I said, I got no dog in this fight. But I think it's equally possible for the Nets to win it all as it is for them to completely implode.
When it comes to the Nets, when I see them, I mean, we all know about Durant and Irving and Harden. We all know about them. But the biggest issue I have with them is their lack of defense. I mean, Aldridge they have DeAndre Jordan, but he's obviously up there in age. You had LaMarcus Aldridge, who you got, but
he's out.
He actually, yeah, well, he had a legitimate excuse. Like this
is Jared Allen.
Yeah, Jared Allen, and now he's with the Cavaliers. Like my dad even says, like, you know, the Nets traded away their soul just to see if they can try to run for a championship. And with that, it got rid of Karis LeVert, they got rid of Jared Allen. Dinwiddie's probably gonna be gone after this season. Like they had a nice little young core, and you know, just to get James Harden, they gave a lot away. And like the Nets, you obviously know this is a team that's title or bust. You know that was their intention as soon as they snagged James Harden. And he's going to be there along with Irving and Durant next year and probably also the year after that. But at the same time, it's like this is a Bucks team that also needs to prove itself. This is a Bucks team that got Drew Holiday in the offseason because they want to make that next step and finally try to cement themselves in the finals. I think this can go either way. I think this is going to be a 7-game series, maybe a 6-game series, but I can see it going the distance. I really can.
Let's certainly hope we're entertained. One other sort of player I want to mention who I've just absolutely loved this year, who's not getting some of the other pundits, let's just say, when they're doing their best of the year. Somebody who was really high up on my defensive player of the year is Clint Capella.
Clint Capella, he led the league in rebounds, didn't he?
Yeah, he won the rebounding title. Clint is, I thought in some ways he was a bigger loss than James Harden for the Rockets, because Harden wanted to go. I mean, if somebody wants to go, what good are they to you?
Exactly.
They're just not. You know, and I will say when Harden got traded to Brooklyn, those first few games, I saw something I never saw before. That's Harden played defense.
Harden playing defense? What a shock.
Well, that's not what he does. And
I know, it's a shock.
As much as I just shit on James, if he's pissed off and motivated, and he says, I'm going to carry this team on my back, they got a better shot with him doing it than with the other two.
Mm-hmm.
I honestly believe that.
Yeah.
I really do. I can't wait to watch all of this. I can't wait to watch more hockey. This is my favorite time of the year. I love the playoffs. I love all this. I love discussing Halls of Fame with you, Vincenzo.
Of course. Thank you. That's actually what my aunt calls me. But I always love talking with you, Kirk. I mean, I've been with you for like over 2 years now, and still, I'm still very grateful for that, still to this day.
Pleasure.
And I unfortunately, I do need to say that I still unfortunately do not have an internship for this summer, despite my best efforts. I've applied for like 30, 40 places. I'll get in the fall, hopefully, but who knows at this point. Honestly, I'm not going to focus too much about it because I want to enjoy my summer. I want to try to do what I like doing best, talking halls, doing vlogs, podcasts, looking at all this other stuff. Also, side note, in case anyone's curious what I'm doing now with Halls of Fame, I've been promoting the U.S. Hall, and I've also been deciding to, you know, because I love myself some early merger NFL stuff, I decided to, I'm now currently compiling all the Green Bay Press collective all pros, as well as the Pro Football Focus, all just the all pros that are not Associated Press, because what made the Associated Press the one that everyone should look to anyway? Just the opinion of 50 guys anyway.
That's a good question. I don't know.
Yeah.
I would imagine they carry more weight than the Hollywood Foreign Press.
Yeah, it's like, oh, it must be from the AP. Yeah, the same guys that are voting are the same ones doing the like. Cares. I mean, some take it much more seriously, or the first team. I don't care. Like, I'm seeing them all equally. If you're on multiple all-decade teams or multiple all-pro teams, that's going to help you. Not if you're on Associated Press or whatever. It's the quantity amount per year, not just Associated Press's gleamer, because even then, even since journals are major, people don't necessarily like my field.
All good. All good. Well, thank you everyone for watching. Stay safe, everybody, and we'll be back with a lot more content here at NotHallOfFame.com.
Best of luck. Thanks, guys.